Welcome back to another episode of Finn vs. History. This is the second part of our epic tour through
boring.
Finn found it so boring. The only thing he really enjoyed was doing
baby.
A black accent for Pope Urban II.
I'm the Pope. Hey, baby, the Pope's going to look after you, baby.
That's when he woke up.
Oochie coochie. Yeah, listen, I'm trying, because I know that there are some people out there who are like, that's the most fascinating area. I know those people are out there, and I know that we're getting them in the net. Yeah. But
also, you are a host of a history podcast, so you can't.
Yeah, I know, but history is the Nazis, it's Napoleon,
we're going to run out pretty soon.
It's Sharp. It's, you
would have done Finn versus Nazis if we got away with it. Just every episode.
Yeah, I will happily host a spin-off series which is Finn versus Nazis, and it's just me doing a 3-hour podcast about individual Nazis. I will happily do that. Happily.
Right, so we're in 1097. So to place that.
God. Thousands of years before
like
the Nazi.
1097, no.
It's just grim.
Let's place this. So this was after the invention of the bench, I want to say.
Do you know what? That's bold.
Can we see when the bench was invented?
I don't know if benches are around at the First Crusade. I think you've shot your load. You've not thought about that.
I not thought about that. That's come straight off.
Well, hang on. No, because churches must have...
No, there's ancient benches. Ancient Egypt.
Egypt did everything, man.
They did it, yeah.
Egypt
they're the first,
fucking knocked out of the park.
It's the first guys.
They're the first guys.
It's easy to do loads of stuff.
They're not the first guys though, aren't they?
No, the first guys to not
do stuff.
Do anything.
Right, okay.
The first guys to have enough time to think about stuff that isn't just, fucking and eating.
Right. I think they were pretty good at that though as well.
No, they did that as well, but they had other guys.
So in terms of hierarchy of needs, you've got fucking, eating, and then building a massive sandy cat.
Yeah, and then benches.
Then pyramids.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Man,
it's all about having free time to do mad shit. That's how civilization.
But see,
happens.
I like all that stuff.
Right.
I like, when we come to do the Egyptians, or the ancient Greeks, or the Romans, I'm into that because it's it's fun.
Fine.
This is just shit.
That's what I like about it.
Shit.
That's what I like about it.
Everyone's thick.
Yeah.
Everyone's boring.
But I relate to this. The ancient Egypt is like an alien world, but this is very much our world, and I think it's important to understand.
But I like history for it. I guess the romance of it.
Right.
The Nazis, the uniforms, the the old footage. It's like archetypal stories.
Right.
This is just people wearing shit clothes. I mean, but also it's the religious. I mean, just life in the Middle Ages is just.
Well, so I haven't placed this. I've
grim.
said before. It is after the invention of the bench.
Yeah.
But it's before the invention of the glasses, right?
Yeah. So most people can't see.
Yeah. This is what I find interesting. Glasses is not much before the invention of the glasses. The glasses, I think, were invented in the 1200s, right?
When is the first?
Which blew my mind.
When is the first picture of a person wearing glasses? That's what I want to know.
It will be some monk with a Bible.
Yeah.
Going.
And what I also suspect is that I reckon the invention of glasses was very quickly preceded by the invention of wedgies. The first guy had glasses. The next guy was like, yoink! People with poor vision made accommodation for their condition by using their other senses and adjusting their job choices.
Right, I'm not going to be up in the hall. I'm not going to be up in the eagle's nest.
So sorry, I'm thinking about retiring as a chariot driver because I can't see. And there's no other...
What's it called at the top of a ship?
Sentry tower. Oh, like a master...
like
little mast boy.
The poop deck.
Poop deck. That's the bottom, isn't it?
That's the bottom.
What is a poop deck?
Right.
Because the sternum bow...
You know the
which
people
is the front
who's
and back,
at the top... So
port
now,
and starboard...
We've got a photo of John Lennon with glasses. I feel we're not going further enough back.
Is the poopy deck... Sorry, there's 3 different conversations going on. Sorry.
But who's shitting on the deck to make it a poop deck? That's who I want to know.
Well, maybe it was the first guy... It was the guy before they had glasses.
Well, this is what I mean. Maybe the jobs that the guy was doing without glasses is the guy who says land ahoy from the top of the boat.
Yeah.
That's a job that he might have to adjust his choice.
Yeah. So glasses are invented in the 1200s. What I want to know is when do the terms specky, 4 eyes, when do they start?
Well, I think if you had like a graph of the usage of the terms, it would be like invention of the glasses, there'd be like
a massive spike. Like, yeah, it's like, those old COVID charts you used to get where you go, well, it's an incubation period of like 3 weeks. When
March
people are
2020.
When people are like, this guy's getting a bit big for his boots because now he thinks he can see everything. And then, the lag, 4 eyes, specky twat, wedges.
It wasn't immediate. They saw the glasses and they just stared at them for a while.
No one on the Crusades had glasses.
Which, loads of people have glasses now. So were you just like that forever?
So hang on. So 1000 AD, the first documented vision aid was a spherical glass called a reading stone, which is in terms of alienating people. Yeah. That's
So we're around the time of the reading stone.
Yeah. So there's some poor cunts at the back of the Crusade holding a massive stone. Huh? What's going? Huh? Where are we going? And they're like, fucking this guy. Everyone else is doing pints down the front, and there's like some specky twat at the back of a stag do. Oh, wait for me!
You know those glasses that really magnify,
make your eyes look massive.
But imagine that for your whole head.
Yeah. Hello. What? So it's like a flea collar that a dog wears. They have like a big cone.
I imagine it's just like a glass orb. They've got their face pressed up against it, so their face is massive.
Right, and then they take it down and blow on it, and then wipe it, and they go what? So they've got to carry around. Poor cunts. My God, it's just grim.
It's grim. I love this sort of grim. Yeah, unlike the Nazis, which isn't grim.
Nazis is exciting.
Wow, yeah. So it's about the 1200s that the glasses were invented. So that if you can't see, you're fucked. You're just squinting the whole time.
But benches are around.
But
are people dying and then having benches named after them?
I don't think that.
When does that start?
I don't know.
Do you want to Google that, Charlie? I will do anything to stop getting into the actual history of the First Crusade.
Yeah, Finn was livid last episode because we covered some actual history and
boring. I want to know about when the first bench was used as a memorial, because the first person to do that is pretty wacky, isn't it? Like if your wife dies and you go, yeah, I know what you're like. She used to love sitting on this bit of grass. I'm going to put a bench here, and she'd just be like, why don't you just get me a fucking headstone or an urn or something?
Yeah, and then the partner would be like, and he'd be like, do you not like it? Yeah, no, it's nice.
No,
it's just a bit.
It's not. I mean, I like a bench. Who doesn't like benches?
It's just a bit weird. That's my dead wife. And you just
memorial benches have been used to honour people and events, became more popular in the 19th and 20th century. Ancient Egypt,
yeah, they're back again.
I do feel like AI overview though. Which is what we're using on Google.
Yeah,
I think their default is everything starts in ancient Egypt.
Well, I imagine they're scurrying to try and get an answer. They never say dunno.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck, I don't know. And then we give them no time.
It would be quite funny to see what you had to put into Google to get dunno from AI overview. Dunno.
Right, so...
Hang on. Incest was common among the ruling class in ancient Egypt. They did everything.
They loved it. Right, you ready to get into the Battle of Dorylaeum?
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, go on then.
So one of the leaders is called Bohemond.
Sorry, hang on. Where had we left... We left off, so you need to give us a bit of a...
Right, so the Crusaders have made their way and they've just crossed the Bosphorus. So they've been given...
The Black Pope has gone, here, buddy. Yeah. Here, buddy. hey, y'all. Yeah. We're going to get on a crusade, go down to Constantinople, fuck shit up. Right? Yeah. He said that.
Yeah.
Then Peter the Hermit...
Peter the Hermit took an early bird crusade to get good camping spots at the festival.
Took too many E's, fucked it, everyone's dead.
Yeah, he fucked on the first night, everyone's dead, but he's still alive.
He's still alive, right? Yeah. Then the actual crusade is set off in August, about a year later.
A year later.
They've...
well prepared. They've got women and children, leopards, lions.
This is fucking travelling circus.
It's a travelling circus. Yeah. There's jugglers. There's sword swallowers.
There's poor cunts with one massive glass at the back.
Yeah.
And then they get to Constantinople.
They take back one city almost immediately. They siege it. And then they sort of split off into different fragments because they've all got different leaders and they've all kind of... It's such a big group. They're not going to go as one and they've got different leaders. But Bohemond is like...
Bohemond.
He's almost like a two-dimensionally written hero. Like it's unbelievable how heroic this guy is. Right. His hero is Odysseus. Yeah. And he basically... This is kind of like Troy and he's Odysseus, right?
Right.
So he's seemingly for this era, he's like a genius.
We haven't really talked about Jerusalem at all.
No.
Which I'm not the guy who likes the Crusades, but my understanding is that was pretty much crucial to the whole thing.
Well, it became crucial later.
Right.
The first thing was trying to get back Byzantine lands.
But their goal is to get to Jerusalem, yeah?
Because now that they're there, because they see it as a great opportunity, one, to get penance, but two, to get money to get their own lands in the Crusades, to
Yeah.
get all this. But now they've all here. Now it's starting to come in that Jerusalem is going to be the big thing.
Right.
That's sort of happening as they go.
Okay, fine.
Right. But becomes the main point because they are there for like years. But it wasn't the number one reason they went.
They're at Glastonbury for years.
Years.
Christ.
Yeah. And they bathe twice in that whole time because the queues are too long.
So you could say it's 5 years or it's 2 baths.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they measure time. How long were you there for?
That was 2 baths
me,
ago.
Man. I was waiting 2 baths to get into that fucking city.
Yeah.
Christ.
Right.
Oh, he died too young. He died aged 3 baths.
Mm-hmm. They're walking along.
So the age of consent is like 10 baths at this point.
And people are trying to lower it the whole time.
I think the age of consent should be 4 baths, 7 baths. Based on historical accounts, a strong contender for the smelliest medieval person would be Queen Isabella of Castile, who reportedly boasted about only bathing twice in her life. On the day she was born and on her wedding day. Well, yeah, I mean,
So Ferdinand of Aragon highlighting a lack of regular hygiene practice common in the time period. Remember, in like the Muslim world, they're bathing every day, pretty much.
Yeah, they're washing. They're still washing their asses with water.
Yeah,
and we're using toilet paper.
So they really must have viewed us as complete.
Yeah, it's funny that we call the French smelly, but the Muslims must think that all of us are just stinky.
In Japan, they still think white people are incredibly stinky.
Yes,
right.
Well, Japan are the cleanest.
Yeah,
and they've got no hair.
So like, if you they've got hairless bodies.
They're hairless bodies.
In Korea, the Korean genetics, they don't have body odor. So like a big insult you'd have on Korean TV is he uses deodorant.
Yeah,
and
really?
that's like a huge insult.
So hang on. So is deodorant just not really a thing in Korea?
If you use deodorant, you must be the stinkiest cunt alive in Korea.
You're the stinkiest Korean guy.
Because who the fuck would need deodorant? No one smells.
I think North Koreans might be probably quite smelly. That's not a racial thing. That's a political comment.
Well, they got scurvy. I imagine like.
I think they're just. I mean, Koreans still washing, aren't they?
If Finn starts whispering, you know that's pretty bad. He normally says it with his chest.
Koreans are still washing.
Right. Yeah.
They're using soap.
Yeah, but they don't have BO.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
But because. I don't really understand though.
Is that why? Well, I was going to say, is that why it's bad? It's not interesting to be a dog in Korea, but that's another reason, isn't it? So, because obviously dogs love the bad smells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're fucked both ways. Not only they have nothing to sniff about.
Do you think the Koreans say they have no body odor because they have no dogs? Because famously, dogs are dinner time.
Yep. Dogs are dinner time.
I love the idea of people going, listen to the second part of the first Crusade series. That won't be racist against Oh, no.
We haven't really even got into the Crusade yet. Part 2.
I'm
a significant
so
portion of East Asians, including Koreans, have a mutation in the ABCC11
Why is that called a mutation? That's like a superpower. Yeah. They don't smell.
We're mutated, which is associated with reduced body odor production.
So why are we the uggo stinky ones?
Well, I think if in a ranking, we're not number 1.
No.
But we're up there. We're much higher than we think.
Yeah. Well, we think we're playing in a better league than we are.
Yeah. Well, I think the smell, it's body hair. You could do
traps odor. Yeah. So
also the surface area for sweat on a hair is a lot more than if you have no hair, right?
Right.
So a long Greek man's hair would be coated in sweat, so that's like a longer area of stinkiness.
Yes, there's more stinky per hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Per follicle.
Yeah.
Whereas a Korean, beautiful, smooth, shiny Korean boy,
like a bowling ball.
A bowling ball. Koreans are bowling balls. Yeah. So they don't smell. I mean, I find that amazing.
Yeah. I mean, a Greek man would be actually good scrub, like an iron wall.
You should wash a Korean with a Greek man.
Yeah.
A Korean man would use a Greek man as a loofah in the shower.
But then if you're trying to wax your car, you'd use a Korean man's ass.
Yes, yeah. You don't want to clean your car with a Greek man.
Who'll get scratches on it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll scratch the paintwork.
Scratches. You'll get tzatziki.
Yeah. You get some dribble and some yogurt.
Right, I think you could actually do a pretty good scientific experiment. Not racist. When has science ever been racist?
No. Famously.
Right, get the head measurements out.
Yeah, measure their skulls. They must be a different species. This is all in the name of science.
I think you could do stinkiness on one axis and amount of body hair on the other, and I think it would probably track correlate
yeah,
perfectly.
yeah.
Which country has the most body hair? Let's find out who the stinkiest is.
I reckon it's central.
Iran?
No, I'd say it's just above. It's the Tajiki. It's the Borat regions, is what I call them.
Interesting.
The stands.
Right. It's definitely Iran.
Pakistan's got to have a high density of hairy. There's some hairy women in Pakistan.
Yeah, it's the women.
It's the women.
The women look like Greek men.
Yeah. Beautiful women. They look like Greek. That's when you look at the women for. It's how you're judging this, right? Because obviously the outliers. You've got a heat map. So
it's actually around the Mediterranean.
Yes, look at that.
All coast of the Mediterranean is the stinkiest.
Punch in on that map, Charlie. Punch in, because I think that is genuinely the route that the People's Crusade took. It is from Clermont. Is they follow the stinkiest part. So people who are listening,
they're going from Italy through Greece, through Turkey, down to
the
Gaza
black area
and the
of
Holy
the map
Land.
is you've got the Mediterranean into North Africa and the Levant, right? And then it starts to become less hairy, i.e., less stinky in our hypothesis.
Faultless.
As you kind of, that's the epicenter.
Yeah.
So the Mediterranean, it does say, this map, that the Mediterranean is the stinkiest place on Earth.
The whole coast.
That entire
You're
the
walled
sea.
in. You couldn't swim anywhere in the Mediterranean and not arrive with some stinky people.
Yeah. And then as it comes out, it gets less smelly.
Yeah.
Right. So, but weirdly here, it says that Scandinavia is smelly or hairy.
Yeah.
Vikings.
Yes.
That's blonde hair.
But also it's so cold up there.
Is that it? Is it green or is it blue?
But I do think if you're hairy in a cold country, you're not going to smell that bad.
So yellow's the least hairy. Sub-Saharan Africa.
And then you look Korea.
There you go. And the Philippines. And then what's that? The Arctic
you can see Australia
Circle.
because the stinkies have colonised. It gets stinky again.
Of course. So you can see that Australia's
They're not meant to be there.
They're not meant to be there. It's a massive outlier. If you look at this map, it's black and purple in a sea of yellow and green. Because stinkies colonised it in the 19th century. And they made it stinkier. And that's the tragedy, really. That's why they're so tough on fauna and flora.
Yeah. It's funny because we're on a topic that Finn doesn't want to talk about. And so I've got him on something he does like talking about, which is a map sort of ranking races.
Sorry, if we could just pause the first Crusade.
That's like a baby with a dummy in its mouth. He doesn't know enjoying himself, so I've got him a map of who's the stinkiest.
Yeah. And I'll be quiet for the next hour. If I'm crying a lot, you just put your map in front of me showing me who's stinkier, and then I will be
But we weren't talking about life in the Middle Age. Go on.
Do we think medieval people would have minded smell? Do you think it's...
I think
like nowadays it would be disgusting.
There's a term when you're building a website. If everything's in bold, text-wise, nothing's in bold.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is a good way to look at life in many ways. So if everyone stinks like fucking shit, no one stinks like fucking shit.
I'll say
you
this.
don't know what stinking like shit, not stinking like shit smells like.
Or, in other words, have you ever been to France? Like if you're in a cheese factory in France, or as I like to call it, France, right?
What you call France the cheese factory?
Yeah. It honks, right? Like if you go to an E. Leclerc, right? Which I love a French supermarket. But you go to the cheese section, it's an absolute wall of honk.
You'd keep the supermarkets, take away the people.
Yes. Yeah. Ideally, I replace British supermarkets with French supermarkets, and then leave the French people to go around fucking Sainsbury's and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So like when Hitler said he was going to have his holiday home in Brighton, right?
I'd have it in
when you're
E.
planning to
Leclerc.
invade France. You're like, we'll keep the supermarkets. I'm going to have a person.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're not bothered by body odor in France, are they?
No.
It's a badge of pride.
Exactly.
Probably.
Well, it's how they elect their prime minister.
Yeah, Macron's the smelliest person there.
Well, they lift up their arms, and then I think the head of the church smells all their armpits.
Yeah, that's the ceremony, and then they go, and then they anoint Macron as the smelliest person in the country, and then he becomes president.
We were looking at what things to do in the Middle Ages as well in the break. There's also early football.
Yeah.
One of the great English exports is football. But what people don't know, they've seen the game, they enjoy the game, they didn't know what it took to make it. It took 1,000 years of everyone from Dumb and Dumber just kicking a ball.
Kicking the shit out of each other. And there is still a thing that happens.
Yeah, the Royal Shrovetide.
So Shrovetide football is this thing in Ashbourne. It's where Josh Pugh lives.
Yeah.
And it's It's
the Midlands.
It's the Midlands,
Right.
which is the Middle Ages.
And it has not changed much.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking crazy. It's a bunch of sort of, I don't know, it's men, and there's a horde of them in a river chasing a massive ball. And then the rule seems to be, if you have the ball, anyone can kick the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
And
but what I like about the Middle Ages as well is, I think with the Roman period and even the Renaissance, every 10 years there's development. It's like this, it's growing. You go back 20 years, there's a big difference. Like it's constantly moving upwards. There's so much change. But the Middle Ages, it's like this for 800 years.
Yeah, that's why it's so crap.
Seemingly nothing.
It's because like now we look back. If I see someone with an iPhone 4 now, I'm like, are you Amish?
Yeah.
Whereas then, if they go back 300 years, you go, all right, mate. Yeah.
Your granddad would live the exact same life as you.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe like you have like a slightly better belt than him. That would be like the big change.
Yeah, or you I mean, it's just porridge. This is the porridge years.
The porridge era.
Right. Let's get back onto, so there's a professional army now.
I guess professional, you're not really getting paid. It's religious zealotry,
Charlie,
so it's not really...
get the stinky map up again, right? So I spat my dummy out. I need someone to pop it back in.
We've just entered Turkey.
So we're still in the stinky zone.
Yeah. It was a band. It's a corridor.
Right.
It's actually a corridor.
Yeah, it's a smelly
It's
corridor.
like a humanitarian corridor, but instead it's just it's a stinky corridor.
Stinky. So the Crusaders are in modern day Turkey, which by this map that is completely definitive in the smelliest area in the world.
You can see it there. Asia Minor.
Asia Minor is one of the
Asia underage. They got through. They've sieged one city,
which is Nicaea.
Yeah, and then they've all split off because there's loads of different leaders, and they're going to take different parts. On the way, they've all got their own side quests and stuff to do. It's not like a straight line, right? Bohemond, who's this kind of young Norman Italian. Do you know? Do you know they went down there?
The Normans took Sicily, didn't they?
So and he's just sort of like a, I don't know. He's a genius, right?
Right.
And on the way, he can
count to 4.
Genuinely.
In this day and age, that's a genius.
Exactly.
He's Steve Jobs.
100%.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You hit the nail on the head. As they're walking along, there's clearly Turkish guys spying on him the whole way, and he's the only guy to notice. Right. So he's got a smaller force that he's just walking through Turkey, and he keeps seeing a guy with massive monobrow poking his head around the tree.
Please.
No one else has noticed this guy.
Yeah.
So he feels like there's maybe a trap coming, so sends out message for backup and support.
It's a trap.
Yeah. They settle in for the night, right? And the Turks, seeing as they've done this to the People's Crusade, plan the same thing, right?
Yeah, we'll just wipe them out.
So while they're sleeping, come through, start chopping their heads off. But it's at night, right? So imagine there's like a horseman that runs through, chops your head off, and then disappears back into the night. Terrifying, setting fire to all the camps. It's pandemonium in the camp, but then Bohemond basically has a plan where he gets everyone to go into a square formation, and because the big strength of these guys is that they're like in an Iron Man juggernaut suit. It's like the Hurt Locker, right? You know those suits.
Yeah. The bomb disposal.
So these two types of fighting haven't really ever fought each other before, which is a guy with a big bendy sword and Hurt Locker. These guys haven't fought.
Right, I see. Okay.
And then he builds like a square where all the Hurt Lockers just stand. And
so this is when they get
all the women
like
and children inside.
So the women and children in the middle.
And then it's just,
it's men in like Michelin Man bomb disposal suits around it with shields on their heads.
Yeah, and it's like, when we finally started being good at football in the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
And we started playing to our strengths when we got Harry Maguire on corners.
Slabhead.
With the biggest head.
The love train.
Which no one could compete with.
This is the love train.
This is, it's just there's
Beaumont starts a love train and Harry Maguire's in there.
The walls of Harry Maguire's, they don't have those in Turkey.
No.
There's not a head that big.
They don't make him like him over there. They don't make him like Harry.
So they can't deal with how big.
I tell you what though, I think everyone at this time sounds like Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's my least favourite part of history.
Hello.
We went down to Antioch and it was a good game actually. No, pleased for the lads, pleased for Harry Maguire. They don't make him like them over there.
They hold out for like 6 hours until support comes, and the
average medieval face would be characterised by a slightly rugged appearance with a strong jawline, a broad nose, deep set eyes, and a relatively small mouth.
Right.
Like Harry Kane.
Yeah. If you're doing one of the crime scene drawings,
every person is Harry Kane.
Yeah, it's the England football team. It's all the white guys on the England football team for 2018.
Yes.
Maguire.
Oh my God. That is Harry Kane when he's older.
By the way, this guy's 21 years old.
Yes, of course. So if you're listening, there's a face of a man who looks like you've squashed Harry Kane's face into Malcolm Turnbull, the old Australian Prime Minister, and that is an 18-year-old in 1195, whatever the fucking year it is.
So after this battle, they never really fight each other on like properly again. It's sieges.
Are you saying this guy's won the battle?
Held them off until recruits came and support came, and then they scattered off into the night. Right, and they kind of never they were both terrified of each other because they just didn't know how the other one worked. So it kind of ended up just being siege warfare from here on out, right?
So we should get some stuff out about medieval sieges.
Yeah.
So this is where...
So the next big thing to happen is that they go to Antioch, which is a huge city at the time, on the border between Syria and Turkey. So they've worked their way through Turkey. I'm skipping a loads for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Antioch's probably one of the best defended cities in the world.
How smelly is Antioch?
Do you want to get the map back up?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's still in the corridor.
Okay, fine. Good. Smelly place.
Now, for they reach Antioch. It's got over 400 towers. It's got some of the strongest walls in the world.
Yes.
Right. And they don't really have any siege weapons. The Crusaders.
Right.
So what they plan to do, they have to take this city if they want to get to Jerusalem because it's such a key city, and they'll get cut off from behind if they don't get it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll have a finger up their arse if they don't take Antioch while they're trying to take Jerusalem.
I see
tactically.
What you mean. Yeah.
All right.
But that's a bad thing in this day.
It's a bad thing. They don't like this yet. They used to like it in the Greeks.
Yeah. Now. Yeah.
They like it. The people like it now.
You know what?
But in between,
this is the problem with the Middle Ages is that it's after the finger up the bum was a good thing in Greece, and before it became a good thing again in our progressive post-60s era.
So what they decide to do is starve out Antioch. Right.
Right.
They are there for 9 months. Right.
Jesus.
They're just.
So they're fat fuckers in there.
Yeah. What do you mean?
In Antioch. 9 months, no food, they're still fine.
I think they're not fine.
They're big fat fuckers in there.
Then I'll tell you what, they're not fine.
Right, okay.
They're running out of food pretty quick.
Yeah.
They're not doing all right. They've got the Huel remains are on the last resorts,
they're
right?
The last can of Huel.
So they're all outside the city. Disease is rife. The Crusaders are now starving.
Right.
Right. A lot are deserting.
Yeah.
It's all falling apart. Peter the Hermit tries to desert. He's still there.
He's back.
Yeah, but he's a coward and a pussy. He tries to desert. But as he's running away, he runs into a garrison of reinforcements, and they just say, what the fuck? And they pull him, put him back on the horse and say, no, you're not going anywhere. And they drag him back. So he's
amazing.
forced to stay.
Oh, that's good.
So they surrounded Antioch. It's 9 months. There's no hope, right? They then find out.
Sorry, it's 9 months. They're camped outside a big city.
Yeah.
There's no food in the city, and because the Crusaders are stopping food getting in.
Yeah.
And then the Crusaders are running out of food.
Running out of food as well. Disease, tired. You've been there for 9. You're camping outside. Think about the people who camp outside waiting for the new iPhone.
Yeah,
but it's that for 9 months.
Yeah, but it is all those same people. It's those same people we're talking
it's
about.
The people outside when Diana died outside Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
I think at this point they send all the women and kids away because they realise that they're kind of bumming the stag do vibes.
Yeah.
But also they just don't have enough food to keep them up, so they're like women and children away.
Yeah.
It's like was it 2006 where was it when Capello banned all the wives from coming into the England camp?
It was Fabio Capello.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I think some of the leaders there.
Yeah.
They've been waiting outside for 9 months. Then they find out that Kaboga sounds bad.
That's a name, is it?
Yeah.
That's a person. Kaboga.
Yeah, the Turkish general.
He sounds quite smelly.
Has a huge army. He does sound smelly.
Yeah.
Has a huge army that are going to come and crush the Crusaders. Now, if this army arrives and they haven't got in the city, they're fucked. They're exhausted, and this fresh new army that's twice the size of theirs is going to destroy them.
There's a really smelly guy coming.
Exactly.
Kaboga.
A day before he arrives. So they have a day to get into the city, right?
Right.
Bohemond.
Yeah.
Very like Trojan horse style Odysseus. Which I don't know how this is possible, but he basically negotiates with one of the guys in the towers who's like an Armenian Christian, so has sympathies, to put a ladder down.
Yeah.
And at the dead of night, him and some other boys, they go over, they open the gates, and they manage to get in. Literally just before Kaboga arrives.
Right.
Right? So they've got into the city with no time to spare. There's still some people.
I know you're trying to make it exciting, but it's really not.
That's as exciting as it gets.
Yeah.
But now they're in, because they've been starving out this city for...
There's no food.
There's no food. And now they're being sieged. So they're just swapped. They're like, brilliant, we're inside. But now
oh, shit. Like, there's even less food.
There's even less food.
Yeah.
So this army is now going to starve them out.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
They're all losing their minds. They're starving. They've eaten all their horses. They've all got dysentery, scurvy, right? They're having visions, psychedelic hallucinations. This one guy called Peter Bartholomew is truly losing his mind. He gets a vision from God that somewhere buried in one of the churches is a relic.
Right.
So he starts going into a church and just digging with his hands.
Yeah.
He finds a splinter.
Yes.
And says, this is a splinter from the lance that pierced Jesus' side, the Holy Lance of Antioch. You know in Holy Grail, the Holy Hand Grenade?
Yeah.
That's a reference to this.
Right, okay.
Right? He says, I like
that film even less now.
Yeah. He's found this relic.
Yeah.
Everyone, because they're mad, goes, well, this is a sign from God that we will win. Right? So in some mad dash, they all burst out the city and just
take on Boko Haram or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no horses, just like with frying pans, like in pots. Pots. Because the Turkish forces, they're like mercenaries. They haven't really fought together. They're not like congealed as a unit.
My friend,
they're so taken aback that they actually, as a miracle, they flee.
Yeah,
scares them all off.
Well, they've got rug shops to run.
Exactly. They have to get back to their rug shops.
Yeah.
Now, everyone's like, obviously, Peter Bartholomew is the new Messiah, right? He's found this lance and he's given us a victory from God.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, I am the new Messiah. I'm going to show you that I'm the new Messiah. So he gets them, this is when after they've won the battle, to get a walkway of fire and says, I am going to walk through this fire because I'm the new Jesus Christ. Everyone's like, yeah, this is brilliant. He's on who gave Peter Bartholomew, go. And he goes like, let's lay it out, watch this. Yeah. He walks through it, burns alive immediately. Just dies.
Just dies?
Completely,
Generally dies?
Dies immediately.
That's amazing. To be fair, that is amazing. Okay. maybe that splinter was just a bit of wood.
And then, now they're kind of, I don't know.
They take Antioch.
They've taken Antioch.
Yeah.
At all times, the kind of knights are splitting off and consolidating their own state. So I think Bohemond takes Antioch now. He's going to be the king of Antioch.
Because they're founding Crusader states.
Crusader states, which exists for another couple hundred years after this. Right. And that's where Assassin's Creed is set, in all those Crusader states.
State. Yeah. Okay.
After this, morale is high. They've lost their mind.
They've seen a new Messiah come and go. Yeah. Almost immediately.
But they're now really motivated to get the job done.
Yeah,
right.
To get to Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, right? And so they go along, they take cities on the way, they go through Gaza. There's a lot of shit happens in Gaza. Yeah. Still shit happening in Gaza. So one lesson from history, there's nearly always shit happening in Gaza. Yeah. That never changes.
Don't move there.
And then they get to Jerusalem and they now invest in siege weapons, siege engines, and eventually take the whole city.
So let's have a look at some siege weapons.
Yep.
Let's get some. So this is a trebuchet.
Yep.
This is all stuff that I kind of did in, I don't know, year like 7 history that I found boring because I was waiting for them to get to the Nazis. Battering ram.
Yeah.
But the also thing I think about medieval warfare is it's so slow.
Yeah.
So as in, you'll be in a defense watching it standing from a castle, and you'll look over and you'll be like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then 7 hours later, that dot you saw starts to get closer and it's a huge log. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, no.
And they're knocking on the door.
And they're going, wow.
And also, while they're knocking on the door, people are pouring boiling hot oil or just shit on you.
Yes.
as you're rolling a log into the door to try and slowly knock it over.
Yeah. There's human shit and hot oil.
There's just a guy shitting on your head. I love it. It's so funny.
Cannons aren't around.
No, they haven't come at all.
So there's no guns.
No.
It's all sharp objects.
It's all just
hot oil.
Yeah. Rocks. Chucking stuff. Yeah. It took 9 months to take Antioch, to get through the walls.
So they
got siege towers. That's a big. That's
which
a big
is where
weapon.
you put people in the top, and then you walk it.
You get
closer.
a tower block, and it can move.
Yeah, and then you just empty them.
It's
over
like
the
if
wall.
a skyscraper was a caravan.
Right. Gypsy skyscraper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Canary Wharf.
And so you just slow.
Yeah.
I guess what's weird as well, when you're on the city walls, when you see people building, because they have to build them outside the walls, right?
Yeah, you're like, this is my point. There's no jeopardy because you're like, oh fuck, they're building a siege tower.
And then every day you come back.
Yeah, it's got higher. It's got a bit higher. What are we going to do about it? Because
they're having meetings what to do about
what should we do? Yeah, should we wait till it gets as tall and then they come in? Are there arrows? Are there bows and arrows?
There's arrows, yeah.
There's bows and
There's
arrows.
lots of arrows, yeah.
Right.
They get in. Godfrey becomes the king, the big dog, but dies immediately.
Of Jerusalem.
Yeah, so he becomes kind of the first king, but dies immediately. And then the guy who actually is sort of like a Game of Thrones sort of thing. The guy who actually ends up on the throne is Baldwin. So after all that,
Alec Baldwin
is the guy
king of Jerusalem,
who becomes king of Jerusalem and sits on the throne.
And so the Jews.
Funny enough, now you bring up Jews.
Yes.
The Jews and the Muslims. Maybe not the best of friends now.
They were fine.
They were defending Jerusalem together against Christians.
So,
Jews
they had been
massacred.
living sort of in harmony, right?
Yeah.
And then the Christians invade and then take over Jerusalem.
And now they're back. And they hold it for like 150 years. But this kind of begins the ultimate sports rivalry. Liverpool United.
Jews, Muslims.
No, it's Muslims, Christians.
Muslims,
That's
Christians.
kind of where this all kicks
yeah.
off. This ends up in 9/11.
Well, this is what I was going to bring up, actually, funnily enough.
And everyone's like 9/11, unprovoked attack. If you look at the history, it's a lot of tit for tat.
So the whole notion of jihad as a holy war is whipped up in the aftermath of the First Crusade.
I think so.
On the Islamic side.
Yeah. Well, we got Crusades, they got jihad.
Yeah, the Crusade is the white man's jihad.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the jihad is the Muslim crusade.
Yeah, exactly.
So because
we kind of got along up to this point.
Is 9/11 basically just a Muslim siege tower?
Yeah. Well, or is it the Muslims are waiting on the wall and they're seeing the West builds a siege tower? And they're
much like the people in the World Trade Center are going, there's a plane coming over here. What should we do about that?
So yeah, the events on this period, the lag is the slapback is 9/11.
Right.
It takes a long turn.
See, if we'd started this series by saying if we were doing a series on 9/11, but we started with the First Crusade, I'd be much more invested in it.
Well, I mean, we could put this in a playlist of the road to 9/11.
Yeah, well,
just constantly
don't tempt me.
This is the beginning of the road to 9/11.
The only way 9/11 could be better in my head is if the Nazis are involved. If Hitler was flying one of the planes, oh Mike, that's a wet dream. So
Baldwin sits on the throne.
So, but where's the sugar daddy pope in all this?
Urban.
Yeah, where's the urban pope? He's like,
he's just at home.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
He's done his job. He's sending letters. I mean, he's far away.
Doesn't he die before? He dies before they tell him about Jerusalem?
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know.
I knew that. I fell asleep during every podcast about this, and I knew something you didn't. So is this the most boring crusade?
I think it's the most interesting by quite a long way.
So for
the other ones are really quite boring. Because the other ones are just tit for tat. This is the first time any of this shit happens. The other ones are like the Muslims take back the Crusader states. The Crusaders come and take it back for 20 years. That's really boring. For me, these guys have never seen this shit before. It's unprecedented. And also the odds were stacked against the Crusaders. They were far worse force. But through just like, it's like Lord of the Rings, just through fellowship of man.
Yeah, right. But Richard the Lionheart, that's interesting, isn't it?
I guess so, but I mean, he sounds interesting.
Well, he sounds more interesting than fucking Geoffrey of Hermit or whatever. or Smelly Baldwin.
But I guess we like different things. For me, I'm like...
Baldwin of Stinksville, whatever he's called.
To me, that's more I'm interested. I want to see Baldwin of Stinksville.
Oh, this guy's got a bowl cut and a shit name, and he smells.
I actually don't know. Which Crusader Richard the Lionheart fighting?
That's the Third Crusade.
Right.
The Third Crusade is Richard the Lionheart, who's king of England,
right.
who actually goes...
Who doesn't speak English.
Saladin, who's the
boss man,
who's chief boss man at the time.
Yeah,
and they have like an epic struggle. That's like a superhero film, I think.
So I guess the Third Crusade is the first time that English people actually play a role.
Yeah,
we didn't really feature in this one much because we were too stupid even for the Crusades.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Our hair was too. We couldn't even see because our fringes.
The fringes were too long,
covering our eyes.
But we were just having fun by ourselves.
Yeah,
which, as I've just said, fun in this day and age is fucking...
What is fun in these days? What could you do?
Bear baiting and cockfighting. Okay,
that's unusual fun.
Oh, right.
For everyone, music and singing, religious festivals.
Lutes, harps, and drums. Right. Group singing. I fucking hate choirs.
Do you?
I hate choirs.
Do you like singing as a group? Do you not feel...
I hate community groups. I hate lutes. If there's any cunt out there who says they play a lute...
Right, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But you not feel the kind of sense of community and brotherhood of man when you sing together?
I don't like singing with other people. I like a gospel choir.
Right.
But that's not... I mean, maybe that's urban.
Yeah,
It's
that's Pope Urban's the second choir.
Pope Urban's choir. I like an urban choir. But no, like all those people... medieval reenactors, I just don't trust. Right. I think they're autistic nonsense.
Sure.
And all that kind of like ding 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 ding. Oh, squire. People who use medieval language, to me, hello squire, my liege. Yeah. Fuck off.
Fuck off. Right.
Fuck off. Get in the bin.
People who goes, mein Führer's nein.
Yeah. Hello. Let's have a pint. Hello, mein Führer. So there's like fates. I hate a country fete as well.
Yeah. So you just absolutely hate this period of time?
I hate it. It's boring. All the art is just tapestry. Yeah. Which is shit.
It's all shit.
Awful. It's green sleeves, it's porridge, it's tapestries. It's bad. It's all bad. There's nothing good. If you're alive at this time... Like nowadays, we're like, oh yeah, I just saw a 3D film. If you're depressed, right? I don't think I could ever kill myself as long as the Premier League exists.
Sure.
Or they're more...
Well, they had that football game.
But there's not... Football's not around. It's just men charging at each other. Yeah. Like, we've got the Premier League, we've got Test cricket, we've got James Bond.
You might as well wait to kill yourself.
Just wait until the next Bond. If they haven't ruined that, then don't kill yourself. Right?
Might as well, yeah.
But then they're like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Oh, they've stitched some more tapestry. Let's go and look at that.
Yeah, I mean, most of them don't even like art, so they probably wouldn't even.
They don't know what art is.
Yeah, I guess part of why I like this period as well, which is partly why how I go into history, is making me feel grateful I'm not alive then. In the way that
I'm not alive.
You know when like it's relaxing to hear rain when you're inside because you're sort of smug because it's like at least I'm not out there. That's me looking at the Middle Ages.
Look, games. So they have chess and they have checkers.
Right.
And that's what kids do. Kids play chess. Yeah. And that's their fun. Is that specky kid holding the big glass? Him. He's playing chess. I don't know how he holds his glasses and plays chess at the same time. He's holding a massive orb in front of his head and then getting someone else to move the chess piece.
They do hide and seek as well.
Hide and seek, yeah.
I mean, medieval hide and seek would be. I wouldn't mind playing hide and seek because that's something that would cross the kind of cultural barrier.
What, between our time and theirs?
Oh, you could play hide and seek with medieval people, and there wouldn't have to be any sort of like misunderstandings.
Well, you could smell them, so it's not much hiding. Play hide and seek in Korea, and that's a game.
Why? Because you can't smell them. Yeah,
that's why Squid Game took off.
Exactly.
Squid Game is Korean hide and seek because they don't smell, so they need to do something else.
Yeah.
So we've got to the end of the First Crusade. Yep. Jerusalem's been taken.
Yep.
The seeds of 9/11 have been sown.
Yep. This is the beginning of the 9/11 story.
This is the beginning of the 9/11 story. This is 9/11's Phantom Menace.
Right.
It's boring. It really shouldn't have happened, but you need it to get to the really good stuff.
Like 9/11. And I'm sure the Nazis, you could probably make a link to somehow.
Well, some Jews are killed in Germany.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's
right there.
So if you want a bonus episode that will not be about this of the Middle Ages, sign up to the Patreon, become a truther, and either way, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.